The economy is everywhere. It affects your paycheck, your home, and your future. We see economic headlines every day: inflation, wages, home prices, the stock market. But do we really understand the numbers behind it? And what do the numbers even really tell us? Well, hopefully, this dashboard is a start to helping breaking that down. Hey, I'm John from Stray Insights. And while I am certainly not an economist, I barely even remembered Adam Smith's invisible hand principles from my freshman economics class. I'm just naturally curious and I love working with data. But this dashboard explores major economic indicators and their trends over time, hopefully shining a light a little bit about what's happening beneath the surface. So, what's the goal in all of this? Well, it started out as my own curiosity and then going down a rabbit hole. But then it became an experiment about working with unfamiliar data. I hope that it shows that with the right tools, anyone can analyze unfamiliar types of data and even economic trends. So, using publicly available data from sources like the World Bank, the St. Louis Fed, this dashboard visualizes trends into inflation versus wage growth. Are wages keeping up with rising costs? Home prices and stock market growth, why have these far outpaced inflation? Commodity prices and economic shocks, what drives market fluctuation? So having said all that, let's dig into the report a little bit, shall we? Since this dashboard is embedded on my websites on strayinsights.com, the first thing we have to do to view the dashboard is to come down here and click on this View Interactive Content. Once you click there, first page will load. To start, you'll see these plus and minus signs down here in your bottom right-hand corner. This just helps you zoom in or zoom out the report depending on how you want it to look in your browser. I find that 70 to 80% works best for me. And just like all my other dashboards, every page has its own video on YouTube that kind of dives into that page a little deeper. And you can get that by coming over here and right clicking on the video link, click open in new tab or new window. If you click on it directly, you're going to get an error in your browser. On every page, you'll also see on this left-hand side a page selection window. This just helps you navigate from page to page within the dashboard. Lastly, what you'll see on every page is this year filter up here where you can change the year selection for the page you're looking at. So if you wanted to take this to a little bit more recent, you could take this and drag it over. Now it shows you that time range. Or you could come in here to one of these, maybe backspace, and then you could hand key it in. And the page updates. Now, if you'll humor me for a little bit, I'll give you a little sneak peek at the PBIX file on where this was built. This is the Power BI desktop application where all of these reports come together. And you can see here, since we were using a lot of different data from a lot of different sources, as I mentioned earlier, such as the St. Louis Fed, maybe Yahoo Finance for the Dow Jones or the S&P, or the World Bank, every one of those kind of has its own table, and you can see how they all filter in together. So this one could be a little bit messy, but it was fairly complicated, and I enjoyed doing it. As complicated as this data set looks, now that you've seen it kind of behind the scenes, like every other thing I've built that you'll notice, it's not complete. It's not a finished product. There could be so much more in here. Two of the biggest drivers that drive inflation are not included in this. What's the money supply and what are the interest rates? A couple of other metrics it does not include that are big drivers in the economy. What's the employment and productivity metrics and how do they explore job market trends? Real versus nominal growth. What's the real drivers behind purchasing power? And then, of course, I think the most important, where are we headed? How do we use recent trends in history to look at maybe where we're headed and what we can do about it to change things if we don't like it? Even though it's not complete, I still think it's a good tool. And I think it's a great jumping off point to add more complex and intuitive and future forecasting measures. I hope you enjoyed the overview and I hope you enjoy the dashboard. I hope it sparks a little bit of curiosity within yourself and makes you ask some questions. Hey, thanks for watching. And as always, let me know if you got any questions, ideas to make this better. I want to hear it as always. Thanks for watching.